Haha, remember this video? Yeah, turns out I was a complete f***ing idiot. Because Assassin's Creed in 2026 is shaping up to be a complete disaster. And we're still in January. I wasn't even going to make this video because I was so annoyed at the situation that Ubisoft has put Assassin's Creed in. Now, I don't even know where to start with this, which, already says a lot. Now, just recently, Ubisoft announced a major reorganizational change within their company. This meant a lot of bad news. They cancelled, 6 games? They delayed a bunch of games, they even shut down 2 studios. My condolences to every employee that lost their job because of Ubisoft. Now, none of this feels great, and while it's not the end of the world just yet, it definitely doesn't inspire a lot of confidence either. And right out of the gate, they cancelled the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake. The remake that was announced years ago. It disappeared for years and then it came back looking worse and then it disappeared again and now they've cancelled it entirely. Now, I wasn't really invested in that game, but I know a lot of people were, so if you were still emotionally invested in that game, I'm sorry for your loss. It's crazy because that game isn't even a long game at all, and somehow the remake was sitting in development for 6-7 years, and I promise that wasn't intentional. And that just does not add up to me because it shouldn't take that long, especially when by all accounts the game was basically done. As in, we're talking almost finished, maybe 90 to 95% there, and yet they still pulled the plug on it. All of those years wasted, and that to me makes Ubisoft look completely out of touch. And to be honest, it feels like they cancelled it because it just wasn't important to them. There's no easy money in it, so they don't care. The passion behind the project doesn't matter to them. They would rather keep squeezing the same franchises over and over because that's where the cash is, even if it affects all of those developers that spent years of their life on it. But that's not even the part that annoyed me, because buried inside all of this corporate PR bullshit was the real problem. The part that actually affects Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft confirmed that 7 games have been delayed. 7. And one of those 7 just happens to line up perfectly with a very specific, very unannounced game that was supposed to release before April 2026. A game that, according to insider reports, was scheduled to be out in literally 2 months. That game is Assassin's Creed Black Flag Remake, and now it's delayed, potentially by a full year. It's pretty crazy because we've had so many hints and leaks for the game that it seemed like it was literally about to get announced. I mean, why on earth did Peggy leak the name of the game in December? Why was Matt Ryan opening his mouth about the remake? Why was Pure Arts leaking something? And that's just 3 things. There is countless evidence out there to suggest that the game was coming out very soon. In fact, Tom Henderson, literally as I'm making this video, has said the Black Flag remake was supposed to go gold, meaning it would be 100% ready for release in the first week of February, which is 10 days away? Now that's crazy because just like the Prince of Persia remake, the Black Flag remake was literally done, so why delay? Well, Tom Henderson suggests it could have been full of bugs. Now that does kind of make sense because Ubisoft are known to release games with a lot of bugs in them, so hopefully this is good. Who knows? But the real reason they delayed it, and the one that they wrote on their report, is because, and I quote, ensure enhanced quality benchmarks are fully met, and also maximize long-term value. Now sure, that is a valid reason. I mean, I'm all for delays when they improve the game's quality, but I'll be honest, I have no faith in Ubisoft improving on quality, because didn't they delay Shadows a couple of times to improve the quality? And I don't know about you, but that game, that's a different topic. Now, my problem lies in the fact that 2026 is now a very mediocre year for Assassin's Creed, which is quite ironic because I made this video a couple of weeks ago. So, how the tables have turned very fast. Now, this not only affects the Black Flag remake, this also affects Assassin's Creed Hexe, because I was told by somebody who I can't reveal that Hexe is affected by this, and we won't be seeing that game until later in 2027. Now, what does 2026 even look like for Assassin's Creed now? Well, to me, we probably won't see the Black Flag remake for a while. Maybe we'll see it in October or November, which is probably the worst case scenario considering GTA 6 comes out that time. Or maybe we'll see it at the start of the new year. Hexe is definitely not a 2026 game anymore, so that's not happening. It wouldn't surprise me if Assassin's Creed Invictus, that multiplayer game, was cancelled. And also Jade too, because in the report today, they said a mobile game has been cancelled. Now, whether that's Jade, I have no idea, but it probably is. It wouldn't surprise me. Because remember, that game just straight up vanished off the face of the earth. At this point, the only Assassin's Creed thing that feels locked in for this year is year 2 of Assassin's Creed Shadows. And I'll be honest, I'm not exactly excited about that. I don't know about you. Now that leads me into something that's been bothering me for a while with single player games that Ubisoft makes. Now with this big internal reset that Ubisoft is going through, they leaned even harder into the one direction I absolutely despise, and that's GaaS, meaning games as a service, which is basically live service stuff creeping into places it doesn't need to be. In the middle of all of this mess, Ubisoft has said just recently that their future is built around two pillars: open world adventures, which is cool, and GaaS narrative experiences. And the second I read that, I facepalmed immediately, because we already know what that means. When Ubisoft says shit like this, it's live service bullshit. They don't give a shit about better stories or quality. They just give a shit about their numbers and metrics. Stuff like seasonal roadmaps for shadows, who gives a fuck? Content drips that never actually end. Now look, I'm not against live service games existing. If you want to make a live service game, make it for a multiplayer shooter or a co-op game or wherever. But single player games such as Assassin's Creed, which is being affected by Ubisoft's live service nonsense, should never be anywhere near that conversation. A single player franchise being designed with live service DNA baked into it is a nightmare. I don't want timed events. We all saw how shit that Attack on Titan collaboration was, and how stuff like that just harms the brand in a negative manner. But do they care? No, because it makes them money. I mean, they sold you a microtransaction pack in this collaboration, and they just forgot all about the quality. I don't want a story that feels like it's scared to end because it might hurt the player engagement. Just give me a game with a bloody beginning, a middle and an ending, that's it. But Ubisoft clearly does not see it that way anymore, because now they're restructuring their entire company around this new creative house system. And check this out, because this is amusing to me. They have announced 5 creative houses, and while it might seem like a decent idea on the surface, this to me feels like Ubisoft turning their biggest franchises into content factories. Take a look at this. This is Creative House 1. This is Vantage Studios, which means Assassin's Creed, Far Cry and Rainbow Six. They label this creative house as turn them into annual billionaire brands, meaning they want these IPs to make billions of dollars per year. And then take a look at Creative House 4, which they label as narrative-driven universes. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a terrible sign. Why is Assassin's Creed, a narrative-driven franchise, not being considered a narrative-driven game anymore to Ubisoft? They want Assassin's Creed to be treated as an annual billionaire brand, which I think is a joke, because that suggests they don't give a shit about the quality of the game or any type of memorable experience. Billion-dollar brands. That wording matters a lot, because when money becomes the headline, creativity always takes a back seat. And this explains so much. It explains why Assassin's Creed keeps getting bigger and stretched thinner. Why do the stories feel safer? Why are these games more longer and more monetizable? This franchise is being burned to the ground. Now, I'll be so real, I'm getting tired of Ubisoft. I've said this before, and I genuinely don't know how much longer it'll take before the way Ubisoft is handling things that just burns me out of Assassin's Creed altogether. And that's not because I stopped liking the franchise. I love the franchise, but it's because the state of the company behind it is an absolute joke. What I do know is that I'm probably going to start covering different games outside of Assassin's Creed, especially this year, because this year is shaping up to be really underwhelming for the franchise. There isn't much to be excited about after hearing this news, and waiting around on delays and vague promises is not exactly inspiring. Now, the rest of Ubisoft's report has a ton of other stuff in it that honestly don't matter to me, and it probably shouldn't matter to you either. I just wanted to focus on Assassin's Creed specifically, because that's where my interest is. So yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with the Black Flag remake and Hexe, but right now, as of today, the 21st of January, I am not feeling confident at all in this franchise, and I'm getting tired of Ubisoft. And for the first time in a long while, I'm starting to lose hope.